Get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Deep Tech Showcase Industry 4.0 Showcase. We're really excited to have everyone join us and put it putting this event on. All right, so today is going to be broken down into two sessions, and I believe we're going to have four or three companies per session. And the vision, what Deep Tech Showcase is trying to do, and for people, some people here have heard this quite a few times, but I'll keep it short and sweet. Deep Tech Showcase, the goal is to bring more technology to market, right? Because there's a lot of technology that we're seeing and a lot of development that we're seeing that needs to find the right people in the right places in order to get get to get to the place that they need to be, right? To actually, become a unicorn or get the relevant amount of funding or do what is completely necessary to pass the goalposts and beat the innovation valley of death. And we're here to help with that by connecting folks to the right people, right? Today we're going to have startups present, and in the audience are corporate as well as government tech scouts, investors, VCs, that could be VCs, angel investors, private equity, all kinds, with the goal, again, as a stated goal, the thesis of bringing more tech to market. This event is, one of our flagship events, I guess you could call it. It's a showcase. So we're going to have the companies present, and then the audience gets to, give input and feedback and ask questions. In addition to that, if you're on this call and you're an investor who's not on the panel or a corporate tech scout or government tech scout, we'd love to introduce you to the right folks that you're looking for. In between the showcases, if you see some companies or you're looking for specific companies, we're happy to be a matchmaker and help help make the connections between startups and whoever's looking for said startups. Our next two showcases are microelectronics as well as semiconductors, so a lot of chips. And then we're also going to have the aerospace and defense showcase in June, which should be a lot of fun. And with that, I'm going to cede the floor for a bit to Helen Jacobs, who's going to talk a little bit about our sponsoring company, Eagle Point Funding.
Thank you, Oscar, for that awesome intro. Hey, everyone. My name is Hillel Jacobs. I'm a business development manager over at Eagle Point. Like Oscar said, we're the parent company of Deep Tech Showcase. Just to kind of give you an idea of what it is exactly that we do. Having been around for about 25 years and securing almost $2 billion in federal funding, our goal at Eagle Point is to help our clients win federal funding opportunities, whether that be SBIRs, BAAs, OTAs, in their relevant field. So we help in three different ways. First way is our grant consulting. What does that look like? Well, our grant analysts will go out there and essentially find all the relevant opportunities for all our clients, right? So they'll scan all the agencies from NASA, DOD, DOE, really you name it, and come up with an opportunity report. Now, from there, our grant writers take over. Our grant writers' jobs is because they're familiar with the bureaucracies, which with the keywords that government stakeholders need to hear. Their job is to take over between 70 to 90% of the grant writing work for our clients, bring up bandwidth and focus on their tech and focus on what they know and do best. And finally, the third thing we do is we have a Deep Tech Showcase, right? Focus on connecting the right people, business development opportunities. And so our aim is to kind of become this, this one-stop shop, if you will, for deep tech companies looking to scale, looking to be connected with the right people. That said, as you can see on the screen is my email, my QR code. I'll also put in the chat my my meeting link. More than happy to connect if you may know someone that it's relevant for, if it may be relevant for yourself. Happy to chat, dive a little bit deeper and see where Eagle Point funding might come in. That said, I'm gonna throw it back over to Asher and super excited to see all the disruptive tech we're going to discuss today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Hal. Okay, and with that, we're going to get into the meat of it. So today we're going to have, as I mentioned, two sessions with about four companies. And presenting will be Impact, Macrovay, Synergist, and InfinityRack. Session two, we have WaveWorks, Camera Security, and Numem. And with that, what we're gonna do, and this is one of my favorite parts, is we're gonna go around the room and introduce the panel. And what I'd like is the panel to say a little bit about themselves and also what they're focusing on in terms of Industry 4.0, or what's been an interest at the very least in general. If you're more of a generalist, what's a general current interest that you guys have that's related to Industry 4.0? So with that, I'm going to open up the floor to Felix. You wanna get us started?
Yes, thanks so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Felix. We are a very early stage pre-seed venture capital firm investing in software applications with proprietary ML AI applications. And so in terms of Industry 4.0, we're looking a lot into vision recognition, potentially federated machine learning, neural networks, and really how existing processes can be more efficient.
Thank you, Felix. Happy to have you. Han, do you want to go next?
Sorry. All right, had to mute. Yeah, Han Ko, USACO Group. What's unique about us is that we have a presence overseas, pretty strong presence. So we're actually headquartered in USA, but we have a strong presence. Actually, as a matter of fact, I have an office in Seoul, South Korea, and then also Los Angeles and Texas and other parts of the country. And about the fourth, Industry 401, I guess, right? And already 401, I'm ahead of us. 4.0. Yeah, we are in IoT, AI, and big data analytics. Actually, we are pretty heavy into it. And we just try to support any companies that try to disrupt the market and bring value. And along with that, we'll try to be successful together. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Han. Alex Hamilton, you're up next.
Thank you. Alex Hamilton, Craft Capital. We are an investment bank. My background is basically aerospace and defense and the bleeding edge. That is what we focus on, either on the private or the public side. Yeah, that's sort of it.
Thank you, Alex. Excited to have you. Winnie, you're up. You can hear me.
Thanks, Asher. Hi, everyone. I'm with Ajinomoto Corporate Venture Capital. So we're primarily a company that focuses on fermentation, but we also have an advanced material business. Our focus is really looking at any companies that have a material angle or can improve manufacturing process for semiconductors, AI, machine learning.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Winnie.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Owen Mayer. Owen, can you hear us?
Sure. Hey guys. It's Owen Meyer of Meyer Global Management, and my background specifically is I'm a family office looking to do a lot of private equity and venture capital investments and opportunities. Specifically, I'm more of a generalist in my overall sector approach, and also in terms of the overall maturity of the company. Right now, inside of Industry 4.0, we're looking for a lot of things on automation, a lot of things on machine learning. Really have been focusing on this in the last couple of years, and of course now it's a lot accelerated. Primarily looking at hardware and specifically looking at like deep tech to see great opportunities that are available. So looking forward to hearing more about this.
Absolutely. Happy to have you on. Thank you for joining us. Next up, we have Muzib Khan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Muzibul Khan. I work for Kyocera. I'm located in Sunnyvale, California. Actually, I work for Kyocera Corporate R&D. I focus on supporting our team in telecom, energy, decarbonization, as well as optical interconnect. So you can sense that we are very focused on hardware and deep technology area. So we're looking for emerging startups who may be able to join our portfolio of companies that we support them develop. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for joining us. Next up, we have David Abraham.
Yeah, hi, my name is David. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm based in Tel Aviv, so already evening. I'm from Mobillion Ventures. We focus on early stage investments, mainly in Europe and Israel, focusing on mobility. So everything related to auto tech, smart mobility, digital services around it. But we also look at the adjacent fields like energy, charging, logistics, supply chain, and so on. So quite a broad view around this space.
Sure. Thank you so much for joining us, David.
My pleasure.
Next up, we have Billy Hassel.
Yes, hello everybody. This is Billy Hassel. I'm the Chief of Logistics for the KC-135 Stratotanker. It is the largest fleet of area feelers in the Department of Defense. We have 376 aircraft. It's a 60-year-old platform that we're looking to sustain going forward for the next several decades. We're currently based out of 30 operating bases, 4 deployed locations around the world. And our focus here is to look at how do we maintain this 60-year-old aircraft, maintain it, and also modernize for the next several decades in the areas of propulsion, structural, electrical, avionics, fuels, and also logistical support for the worldwide operations we conduct. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Billy. It's a pleasure to have you. All right. Next up, we have Peter Ruiz.
Hi, I'm the regional director for the Kansas Department of Commerce. I serve or work with the entire state of Kansas. But while people might think of Kansas as ag and maybe even some ag tech, we definitely have a lot of aerospace, a lot of biofuels, fintech, and whatnot. So I'm working more on the deep tech side of the house and trying to create some of those big projects that can come in. At the same time, some of the smaller companies that we also have some bunch of resources from private sector to public sector to even some money that Commerce has. So feel free to use me as a resource from large companies down to a startup.
Awesome. Thank you for joining, Peter. Next up, we have Yvonne Mush.
Hi, Asher. Hi, everyone. Good to see you again, and good to see some friends here, actually. I have not met David in a Zoom call in this setting here. We both worked for Bosch a long time ago and for Bosch Ventures. I joined Lem Capital half a year ago, and Lem Capital is a venture arm of Lem Research Corporation, and we are focusing on investments in startups in the whole semiconductor, advanced packaging, photonics, AI, robotics space. And happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Thank you for joining. Next up, we have Dylan Shen.
Hi, Asher. Hi, everybody. I'm Dylan Shen from Cincinnati Insurance. I'm the Director of Innovation Research. We work with many insurtech companies. Focus area are in mostly data analytics, AI. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Thank you for joining. And last but not least for now, unless someone joins that I didn't mention, but we have Albert Vasquez. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. Good morning here from California. Sway Ventures. We're deploying capital out of Fund 3 with a focus on Series A rounds, sometimes Seed Plus as well. Our investment thesis is we're generalists with a specialist approach on several verticals. One of them is what we call supply chain tech, that includes Industry 4.0. And our approach is having a holistic approach of how can we reimagine the world of industrial logistics, starting on what are the digital tactics for product development of physical products, anything that's related about making more efficient sourcing, planning, and procurement, what happens in the four walls of a warehouse or a factory, and then agile fulfillment, whether it's by ground, sea, air, or space.
Thank you for joining. And then last, I think I forgot Jamie Allison.
Hey, Asher. Hey, everybody. Nice to meet everybody. I'm with New World Angels. We are located in Florida, and we mostly invest in companies that have links to Florida. We're kind of in the pre-seed, seed, smaller A round. We're organized around 5 groups that are coalescing around the members and their expertise. We got healthcare, medical, manufacturing, industrial, consumer products, and then software and technology. We are interested in those AI disruptors across those areas and across the stack of that. So anyway, here representing NWA and looking for those opportunities. Thank you, Usher. Nice.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. And if I forgot anyone, feel free to nudge me or message me in the chat. And I'm excited to get started. And with that, I believe we're gonna get going. Brian, just make sure that you enabled share because I gave you host controls a little early. But we're gonna have MPEC begin. And if everything goes well, I think you can start sharing whenever you're ready, Herb.
Apologies, I was having trouble with my sound. Hopefully everybody can hear me.
I can hear you.
Excellent. All right, as long as you can hear me, that's good. Well, hello everyone. My name is Herbert Dwyer, CEO and co-founder of MPEC. The built environment and critical supply chain industries have a severe data visibility problem. 83% of commercial buildings in the US are using equipment past its useful life. This means that equipment that should be replaced with new, more energy efficient equipment that pays for itself just isn't. Many times it's simply due to the real disconnect between important and accurate equipment information and the decision maker. You may be surprised to learn that according to a month-old US Air Force readiness report, over 50% of our nation's bomber fleet is not ready to fly. Many times it's due to unavailable parts, but more importantly, the people who could manufacture these discontinued parts need the parts engineering data. However, today, sadly, the United States Air Force struggles to provide this data in a timely fashion. Bottom line is that decentralized, unstructured, and inaccessible field data that could help solve both of these problems, and many like it, will continue to be a main systematic barrier to operational clarity, decision-making, and scalable AI adoption across organizations. There's got to be a better way. Again, my name is Herbert Dwyer. I'm a Marine veteran and former NSA tasked operator and critical infrastructure auditor. I co-founded MPEC, a company that is purpose-built to fix this problem and many others like it. Our mission is to connect the equipment you see with the information you need for faster, more effective decisions. Why do we call it the Internet of Critical Infrastructure? And I want to be clear, it's the Internet of Critical Infrastructure, right? Imagine being able to take a picture and immediately get structured and complete asset equipment data. Data the entire organization has instantaneous access to. Plus, you get accurate insights on complex equipment and parts in a fraction of the time it takes using traditional labor and capital-intensive methods. Meanwhile, without the need for extensive single-use databases like those that support barcodes. This is exactly what MPEC does. Our platform structures complex data of components and parts anywhere instantly with instant intelligence. The core of our platform has the ability to connect images of real-world objects with the information you need to make critical decisions. This means that building and equipment audits get done faster and airplanes get into the sky faster. Our solution combines cutting-edge computer vision, applied intelligence, small vision models, and extensive data sets to transform the way the world captures and consumes data of the many types of critical hardware that power our globe. Plus, we're building the world's largest part and equipment repository. We've generated unique IP and have filed for patent protection. Our technology is used by organizations that support critical infrastructure and provide important things like the cars we drive, a safe flight for a family vacation, our office building comfort, the power we need for our homes, and the many other things considered critical infrastructure. But let's also not forget about the less sexy uses of our technology to include building energy audits. This is how enterprises like Johnson Controls and Siemens use our technology every day across the globe. Plus, we can greatly assist the Department of Defense to finally pass its first audit in almost 8 years. That I'd love to see. But it can also be used for logistics. For example, the U.S. Department of Air Force issued MPEC a $2 million contract using our technology to replace old 1950s processes that have led to over 50% of the bombers being grounded. This will also negate the need for a barcode-based system. Think of the massive supply chain disruption that will take place due to our technology. This is how the aeronautics industry is using our computer vision technology to identify anomalies on printed circuit boards before they are installed onto an aircraft. Our competition typically includes individual substitutes being stacked that lack the specialization and cohesiveness that equal the power of MPEC, because MPEC's solution combines cutting-edge computer vision, applied intelligence, and extensive data sets to transform the way our customers capture and use data. MPEC's go-to-market strategy is working. We've already closed paying customers and partnerships with some of the largest industrial leaders worldwide, to include the U.S. Department of Energy, the Canadian government, as I mentioned earlier, Johnson Controls and Siemens, and others like them, plus contracts with the Pentagon and U.S. Air Force. We've experienced explosive growth that includes $1.5 million in 2024 revenue and important traction factors like Johnson Controls requiring all of its field vendors to use MPEC to capture equipment data. I should also mention that they are now doing the first of its kind where their own customers at a very large hospital complex are doing these expensive audits themselves to give Johnson Controls the data it needs to do its job without sending a person to their facilities. How do we currently make money? We charge $49 or $150 per user per month to access our technology. And for government customers, we typically use typical software contract vehicles. Given that 87% of the workforce in our target market still use pen and paper, our market is quite substantial. With a TAM standing at almost $30 billion annually across the globe and a SOM of $2.2 billion, we've already closed some of the world's largest players in the HVAC, electrical, and mechanical equipment markets. I've assembled the best team I could find. Here are some of my key people, to include our CTO, James Crouch, who was handpicked by Steve Jobs in 2008 to stand up Apple's App Store. The rest of my team, including myself, are experts in the various necessary disciplines to create a well-rounded minimum team. So today, we already have a lead investor. We are technically raising a $4 million round. $2 million of that has been kicked in by the United States Air Force under the TAC-5 program. So we're raising the additional $2 million that's required under that contract. We have secured a lead investor, so we're looking for well-aligned follow-on investors as part of this round. It will give us 18 months of runway, and we have about $2 million in commercial pipeline as well. So thank you very much. Happy to take any questions that you may have.
Yeah,
All right.
can I have one from Tel Aviv?
Sure.
One question, technical question. To have your, I mean, you can take a snapshot with your iPhone, but you need a large repository in the cloud. And some of the devices and components are pretty old. So how do you build that repository in a scalable manner?
Yeah, it's a great question. So although I showed a picture of an iPhone in my slide deck, we are hardware agnostic. As long as our vendors, our customers, our employees, whoever is capturing that data is using devices that meet our minimum requirements, we're okay with that. So for example, the Air Force, they're using goggles they're calling XR, but augmented reality essentially. Secured scanners, secured tablets. You don't have to have a mobile phone to go out and capture data to interact with our cloud-based service.
Yeah, that's okay. But my question is mainly on the cloud side. How do you build the repository? Because you need to identify these devices and components regardless of the device that's taking the photo.
That's correct. Yeah, so on the identification side, let me go back to that. Computer's not behaving well. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's go back to this slide. I think that this will answer your question the best. So on the left side, we're using our own intelligent OCR technology that we've built that is proprietary to us, that helps us really instantly collect information using intelligent OCR, but also understand what it is that we're looking at, the piece of equipment that we're looking at, typical equipment. On the right side, we're using our own proprietary computer vision technology that helps us see objects in real time and understand what we're looking at as well. So we combine these two for really a holistic view that enables our big data in the cloud that is really essentially metadata of this stuff to provide the information our customers need to make better, more well-informed decisions. Then all happens in real time.
Okay, got you.
Hey, got a question, Herbert. Great presentation and great product. I really like it, actually. Also, thanks for your service. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
You have a
appreciate
really impressive. You have a really impressive background there. Yeah. Your product is ITAR restricted, any chance, or ITAR?
It will be. So I am going through the application process right now, as requested by the Air Force, to work with the Secretary, U.S. Secretary of Commerce, to get a license agreement, and part of that will be ITAR required. So I do see, I think our first customers internationally outside of commercial customers to be those users of the legacy aircraft that we'll be focusing on, like the F-16. I think it's being flown by 37 countries right now across the globe. So that's we're already preparing for that deployment in 2026 and beyond.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is that I have actually, when I was listening to your presentation, I see about 3 ways we can work together. Perhaps we need to talk closely offline, but the first one is the military side of it. And number 2, we're working on a large construction project that your solution might be fitting just perfect. So let's chat later, okay? Thank you. Appreciate it.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'd welcome that, Han. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. And just by the way, I'm Brian. I'm Asher's colleague. Asher had to hop off.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, just in general, when people want to ask a question, when the panelists want to ask a question, the ideal way is to raise your virtual hand on Zoom. So it should be under React or Reactions, and that way you could call on you in a more organized fashion. So I see Jamie raise his hand, and then Albert. So Jamie.
Yeah, Herbert, can you unpack this just a little bit more? Clearly, this is the domain that you've kind of taken to the next level. I'm trying to understand, by capturing this data that is let's use the case of the Air Force. The Air Force does not have knowledge about all the equipment that they have been used that were used to build various pieces of the aircraft. So you capturing data about the machinery, the equipment that were used to create the parts for the airplane, and then what?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And Jamie, just to be clear, that as we give a lot of, our military is incredible at what they do. They men and women work extremely hard. Just that a lot of the processes that they use are very old processes. So as a collective, the United States Air Force has all the information it needs to do what it needs to do. However, that information, like many corporations across the globe, are decentralized and have departments where if data lives over here and someone over here needs it and they don't have access to it. And that is exactly the problem with the Department of Defense today across the board. So that is where we come in, and where we take the data over here, we connect with the data over there, apply, big data principles and of course our own AI across that, and connect that all together so the Air Force can instantaneously access and really unlock and access its own data. And this is what we're finding success with, with private corporations as well.
Interesting. You're an intermediary between factions and departments of an organization, whether it's the government or commercial entities. Okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah, we're in the world of big data, right, and really AI that everybody can use, and that's everybody's rushing to be able to use that AI, but there's a big disconnect to where organizations still are and operating from, and where they need to be in order to cleanly send their data into AI, so it's not a garbage in equals garbage out scenario.
Thank you, Albert.
Great.
Welcome,
So
Jim.
we'll have Albert and then have Billy finish up the questions.
Yeah, I would love to learn more about the pricing model. I think that in your slide you mentioned a user-based pricing, where I would assume that you have as well different angles by asset, by legal entity. Can you clarify that pricing model, and what are the different ways that you can grow and under a pricing point of view to capture the value that you're generating?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And pricing is such an art and not a science. And like many startups, if customers get in early, they're going to get a hell of a deal for the value that they receive, and it's no different with us. So we realize that this is not where we're going to be permanently, but for we are right now, we are charging enterprise users, right? So we're working with big organizations right now, $49 or $150 per user per month to either have a limited version or a full version of the ability to interact with their data at scale and big data, right? Plus, there's also other things that come along with that, depending if they need an actual field application in order to digitize the analog world. We can provide that to them as well. And of course, this is bought as a big package, right? So this isn't just like we're two people come, we're like, oh, $300 per. We're not dealing with small contracts. It's big users only now. We do have a plan to get into multi-tiered pricing plus enterprise post fundraise that is on the product roadmap, but that's not where we sit today.
And just to clarify, the user, it is the one that it's scanning, or is the one that it is reviewing the consolidated view of the assets that have been digitized? What is a user for you?
Yeah, user is going to be person who needs to interact with the data, right? A user may not be the person who's scanning. Like for example, in the case of Johnson Controls, they're sending our technology out to their customers to go scan. We're not charging them anything. That's okay. This is part of our value we bring to Johnson Controls.
Okay.
Great. And Billy?
Sure. Thank you. Hey, Herbert, great presentation. From the U.S. Air Force perspective, obviously you talked legacy fleets, B-52 specifically, F-16s, and us, the KC-135.
Yes, sir.
Just want to make
the 135. Yeah. Well, I've been on it a few times.
Yeah. So, question for you: how do you close the loop? You mentioned, the sourcing. We have a lot of diminishing manufacturing sources and diminishing material solutions for these fleets that we have. How do you get to the scanning, 3D modeling piece of whatever you're taking a picture of to that transition piece to any vendors out there in industry or global to get us to our sourcing challenges that we have? Over.
Sure. So the purpose of our contract, the United States Air Force, so we just wrapped up a $1.2 million one with HAF, specifically AFTE at the Pentagon, and that was really to train on printed circuit boards. And now with the TACFI, we're expanding that operation, and happy to give you a lot more detail offline on this, what I can share. But essentially we're building a deep learning model, right? So it's not a 3D model, it's a deep learning model that AI will then be able to recognize all the parts that are within the legacy platforms. We're not working on the aircraft, we're not working on parts attached to the aircraft. This is simply just parts sitting on a shelf somewhere. So there is a lot of effort that's going into just handling those parts, the documentation, the supporting elements that go around those parts. So it goes into our deep learning model. So once our AI is trained on it, we become subject matter experts on those particular parts, and that information can be shared with any of the Air Force vendors or internal programs that are reverse engineering parts or whatever the case is, or having to rebuild parts, or even internally in the back shops where they want to build the part themselves. They need the specifications in order to do that, and that's one thing that they really lack at a scaled way right now.
No, copy that. Thank you much.
Roger that. Yeah, I'd love to take this conversation offline and share with you the many details that I can't share here.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Herbert. That was a great presentation. And if you just leave your contact information in the chat, that would be wonderful. So people know where to reach you. And with that, we'll move on to our second presentation, which is Microbe. And we have Matt here to present.
Awesome. Thank you. Good to meet everybody. So Macrobe has been in the material handling space for over 40 years now. We've been installing systems in warehouses for companies like Amazon, FedEx, and Walmart. Over the last 3 years, though, we've kind of shifted our focus on designing and building fully robotic material handling systems, basically to replace your traditional warehousing processes. One of which I'll show you in the next slide, we were awarded our AFWERX Phase 1 contract for. So we are looking for direct to Phase 2 sponsors for that. So I'll go right into these systems. This first one here is our autonomous warehouse. This basically replaces your traditional warehousing system. So items are stored on bins on the racking, as you can see here. And when a specific item is requested, a robot goes, finds the bin where that material's in, pulls it, and brings it over to this system here that actually has a robotic arm that will pick out the requested number of materials and place them into a final bin. So basically, if you have an order, if you're requesting parts for repairs, the robots will do all the work. So no humans are required for this at all. These systems are all run on our proprietary software. It also utilizes AI, so we can kind of optimize, learn how your warehouse works, what items are pulled the most to optimize processes. This next system here uses that same AGV robot. This is kind of more of a storage and retrieval system. So again, items and materials are stored on these bins on racks. When a certain item is requested through our platform, the robot knows exactly what bin it's in, pulls it, and brings it up to a front table where another robot can take it somewhere or a human can. And lastly, we have our auto pick system. This replaces the traditional pick-to-light systems. If any of you are familiar with that, basically order fulfillment system. So again, let's use a use case of a store needs 5 bags of chips. They put in that order. The robot arm will put those 5 bags of chips onto the robot, which will then put it in a bin that is associated with that specific order. So again, all these systems require no humans. We're basically having robots do all the work for you. Another cool thing about these that is very proprietary for what we're doing is they're all mobile. So we, on the top left there, you see that's our mobile warehouse. So we actually put this system on top of 2 trailers. So that can be pulled up to a facility, let's say like peak season, if you need some extra room for fulfilling orders. If it's a military application, this can be deployed to a remote airfield. Again, and then in shipping containers, on the back of trucks, on the top right, that's our mobile sorting system that's actually built inside of a trailer. So these are all modular. We can build this to whatever specs are needed for a specific use case. But again, cool thing is no humans are required. You just turn it on, run, very easy to deploy. I won't go through this, but we did do a competitive analysis basically of traditional warehousing material handling systems versus ours. As you can see, the green data points are where we kind of thrive in relation to traditional automation, system uptime, accuracy, and most importantly, to long-term costs. So on the civilian application side, we have a lot of different use cases. One specifically that we're working on now, we're working with one of the largest bakeries in the world. They wanted to automate the process of putting store orders together. So let's just say a convenience store wanted 5 bags of chips, 5 donuts, 5 cupcakes. Our robots will go and find where those items are located within the system, pull them, and then that robotic arm will pick exactly how many are requested in the order and place it in a final box to be able to be sent out to the store. On the military and defense, we're actually working with a recently retired lieutenant general from the Air Force who's kind of helping us to kind of put together a lot of good use cases of how we could pitch this. Thinking outside of traditional material handling, another one we're working on right now is we designed a system with for a large defense company to basically fully automate the process of putting together drones, so large drones. So our robots kind of put together this almost assembly line where a robotic arm will then install each piece of the drone, again, requiring no humans. So on the VC angel fund section of this, basically, why invest? So we still haven't seen a peak in the automation boom. As you can see, the large projections for both the logistics robotics market and automation market as a whole. And we've really positioned ourselves to take advantage of this market with our patented systems that I showed you today, dual use for both civilian and military applications, in addition to providing customers with a robots as a service model, kind of similar to the software as a service, which allows for scalability and recurring revenue. On the AFWERX side, we are looking for direct to phase 2 sponsors. So why sponsor? As we've kind of seen, the Air Force is putting a lot of money towards AI and autonomy. And what these systems do is they really solve a lot of challenges we found. We're able to modernize facilities with smart automation, digital twin monitoring for material condition awareness, and AI-driven logistics architecture that can work in existing facilities. So you don't need to gut your facility. These systems can work in conjunction with what you already have in there. We also have the ability for our systems to serve both permanent and temporary sites with fast deployment, really to optimize operational readiness and sustainment for those critical materials when they're actually needed. And finally, these robotic systems can provide supplemental support for workforce optimization and any labor shortages. So you don't need to really hire on more people to be working along with these systems. They work on their own, really just one person to make sure it's running. And I don't think I introduced myself, so I'm Matt Lubinsky, Director of Business Development at Macrobay. Yeah, happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. So again, opening the floor to questions. If you'd like to have a question, just please try to raise your hand virtually so we can do this in the most organized manner possible. And I see Jamie, you raised your hand.
Hey, Matt, fascinating. Have you done some, I'm sure you have, I'm just curious. Have you done some modeling that shows, obviously a fully autonomous, warehouse versus a, human run warehouse? Is there some high level takeaways? I know you flashed it very quickly. Can you just maybe highlight what would be some kind of comparators that we can just quickly digest? What are the
system uptime's the big one? With humans, you need breaks, you need shifts. These can run almost 24/7 if needed. Accuracy, we've found the robots are really able to pick items and accurately a lot more than humans. And then also cost long term, like yes, you'll have a little bit of maintenance here and there, but it's really that upfront cost. And from there, long term, you're saving a lot more money.
Is there a factor that we can walk away with? Like, can you give us like some parameters that says, hey, for this much space, for this much type of work, you can expect to have this much efficiency? Is there some high level takeaway in terms of the efficiency, the productivity, the throughput, some metrics to walk away with at a high level?
Yeah. So again, we have found that really putting these systems in, much smaller space is required as well. So with humans, you kind of needed to spread apart, especially when you also have robots in the mix with that. For safety reasons, you kind of need the space. These systems, given they're only robotics, they can fit in a much smaller space, cheaper, run longer. Does that answer your question?
A little bit. I'm just kind of also, it's about $2 million for a 30,000 square foot site with hard automation.
Yes.
Hard to believe that you have a robot and all that with only $400,000?
Yes. The robots actually, so we're also robot agnostic. We don't manufacture our own robotics. We use partner robotics. So we're really able to kind of pick and choose which are best for certain systems. That's how we're able to kind of drive down these costs and make it a lot cheaper.
Okay, I'm fine for now. Thank you, Matt.
Welcome.
All right, thanks. Next up, we have David.
I have a question for Matt, if I can.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sure.
So, Matt, you showed one part, which is the fulfillment. I'm sorry, which is kind of pick and placement and so on. So it means your order fulfillment. How do you, refill those bins? In the space, you don't have any place to do so.
Good point. So with our software, we're actually able to do induction of materials into the system. So what you would do is if certain material is running low, we can either trigger an alert saying, hey, we need to restock this, or it can do it automatically. But what you would do is you'd have, let's just say, a reserve area with materials. A robot would bring whatever that's stored in, let's say a bin or a box, to the system. And then those robot arms actually induct materials back into bins, and then those bins are put back onto the racks. So this can kind of run in a huge cycle with our software, just alerting you when certain items are low.
So this runs in a batch mode, or this is independently, or doesn't interrupt the one operation when the others are being done?
Yes. So we can integrate our software with existing. So if, let's just say, again, Chips Company has a warehouse management system they'd use to kind of track materials, we can integrate with that to alert, okay, certain item is running low, let's restock it.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, great. David?
Yeah, first, I assume the system is fully fit for existing warehouses, so you don't have to do any changes in the bins. Second, in manual systems, typically the devices, the components on the bins are pre-ordered in a certain manner. Now, in a fully automated system, do you change it? Does the system change it dynamically so that devices that are more parts that are more consumed and so on are closer to the front end.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind
efficient?
of the AI component that I was speaking about earlier
Okay.
is the system learns, okay, this certain item's been chosen a lot more. So,
Okay.
when we pull that bin, items are taken out of it. Let's see if we can move it closer to where that
Okay.
picking arm is so it can kind of speed up time. And it's really good about learning the whole processes of what's chosen the most, what's chosen least. So it does really work to optimize that.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Yvonne?
Yeah, I was wondering, because in the past when we talked to robotics automation companies, there was still an imperfection with, grabbing different objects, different size, different shape, whether you have a vacuum gripper, whether you have like a finger gripper, there are like misgrips, like you are not getting the part. How are you overcoming this, or how crucial is this, or how sensitive are your customers? Can you elaborate on this a little bit, please?
Good question. So what we do when we have a customer is we learn what they're moving, what kind of materials, what parts. We do have different end effectors for that arm to pick up and whatever is easiest to pick up that object. Also, I wish we had more time to kind of go through these in the slides. But the robotic arm also has a vision-based system. So we actually train it on what they're supposed to be picking up. So again, let's just go to bag of chips. If you have Lay's and Doritos, if there's an order for Lay's and there's both in the same bin, it'll know, okay, I'm looking for that Lay's or that certain branding, not Doritos, and be able to pick that up. So that's kind of how we kind of get past those mispicks and the wrong items is with the vision-based system.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. And last but not least, Han.
Good presentation, and I really like your solution there too. Could you tell us a little bit more about competition landscape in the industry? What does it look like?
Competition with this?
Yeah.
So I hate when this question comes up because I always give the answer of, oh, there's no competition. But what we've really kind of found is with these systems, yeah, there's similar ones that do have robotics to pick. What we kind of thrive in, not only with our software that's able to kind of learn the processes and also integrate with existing systems. One thing the competition really has is, you just need to use theirs. That's it. Like their software, their system, nothing else. We really work to kind of integrate these systems with existing ones. And also it's the mobile capabilities, which we have, patents on. That's kind of what we push a lot, especially in the defense sector is, we're able to put these in shipping containers on top of trailers so you can deploy them anywhere versus requiring an indoor facility to install it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, maybe it was
Thank
my
you.
compliment to you. I haven't really seen the competition. That's why I think you shouldn't feel bad about it. You should be proud of it. Thank you. Yeah.
I feel like it's just always the stereotypical answer of, oh, we don't
Yeah.
have competition, we're the best.
Exactly.
But yeah.
I thought I was interested long enough, but I haven't really seen the competition. That's why. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Matt. That was a great presentation.
Thanks, everyone.
And be sure to leave your contact information in the chat so people know where to reach you. And with that, we'll move on to our next presentation, which is Synergist. And I believe we have David here to pitch.
Yes, how are you? Let me get the screen shared real quick. All right, can you see that?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so my name is Dave Baker. I'm the Director of Sales at Synergist Technology. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys today about the Affirm SaaS platform. So artificial intelligence is evolving faster than any technology we've seen, right? Everybody's talking about it today. Enterprises want to adopt AI, but the inherent risks of AI, as well as compliance and security concerns, are holding them back. And that's really where we come in. So we're a team of experienced entrepreneurs, cybersecurity professionals, and AI engineers with a proven track record of developing, scaling, and exiting software solutions. But our flagship product, Affirm, is an AI management system that monitors AI security, performance, and compliance. We're fully deployed in the Azure High environment, and Affirm is already in production. So we go to market through direct and partner sales to DoD, federal agencies, state governments, and enterprises. helping them to maintain control over their AI systems. So again, as I said, enterprises want to leverage AI for efficiency, but they lack the controls to ensure compliance, maintain security, and avoid inaccurate decisions made by AI. And this exposes them to major legal and reputational financial risks, and in many cases prevents AI adoption altogether. So for government, a key challenge is maintaining that authorization and trust, ensuring enterprises continuously validate AI systems behavior against responsible AI principles, and continuous authority to operate requirements is a really big challenge. And this requires, documentation, real-time alerts for authorization risks, but traditional monitoring tools really weren't built for that. So you wouldn't drive a car 150 miles an hour without reliable brakes. And right now, agencies don't have those brakes, and a lot of enterprises as well. So they're hesitant to accelerate AI adoption. We provide both that braking system for control and the operating system to monitor performance and safety, giving them that confidence they need to deploy at scale. It helps organizations not only stay compliant with emerging regulations like OMB M2521 and 22, NIST and ISO standards, as well as the other 130 plus active laws around AI. But importantly, Affirm also gives them the visibility into AI systems themselves through continuous monitoring. So to do this, Affirm is deployed within organizations or through managed service providers to continuously monitor AI outputs, which enhances efficiency while mitigating those reputational, legal, security, and financial risks. So AI is a new technology with new risks, and it requires new solutions and a defined process to maintain control. Without every stage of this life cycle covered, agencies and enterprises are really opening themselves up to risks. So the Affirm system provides a 6-stage process to guide organizations through secure and effective AI deployments, whether they're exploring AI use cases or already managing a complex portfolio of systems. And it really starts with that AI discovery and readiness, assessing the maturity level, the risks and gaps to prepare for AI deployment, and provides them with a framework and a process to procure AI responsibly, which falls right in line with the Trump administration's OMB M2522 memorandum that came out earlier this month. And then AI cybersecurity ensures the controls are embedded throughout the life cycle, protecting systems and data with a zero trust mindset. Moving into foundational governance, it helps with aligning AI and cybersecurity policies to those regulatory requirements and international standards. And then regulatory compliance enables teams to stay audit ready through tailored framework packs that map to internal and external requirements. And I think the most important one is that continuous monitoring. So organizations gain that real-time insight of both performance and compliance risks, supporting proactive governance and continuous authorization to operate. And then finally, reporting and managing. So it automates tracking and reporting, generating those full audit reports in just a few clicks, which saves a ton of time and reduces stress. So I'm going to dive into the AI monitoring aspect, because it's a really key differentiator for us. So once AI is deployed, it continues to learn and evolve, which can lead to false narratives, hallucinations, unexpected risks. And, we've all seen the issues in the headlines. Affirm monitors for 4 key metrics, which is performance, explainability, model drift, and then bias and fairness, which helps to ensure control and enable that real-time mitigation, which allows agencies to make those informed decisions in real time. A perfect example of a headline and why this is so important in the case of Zillow. So in 2018 to 2021, they were using an AI model to predict the values of homes to make purchase decisions. So they're buying homes and reselling them. The issue is they had no system in place to monitor the model. Well, it drifted, which resulted in an $8 billion drop in market cap, had to report $300 million in operating losses, and ended up laying off 25% of their workforce. So Cato compliance is a perfect example of why this is important for agencies. Programs need these tools now to comply with the new monitoring mandates from DoD, OMB, NIST, and the traditional monitoring solutions weren't built for AI in mind. And loss of authorization status can ground those critical missions, and each AI system requires continuous validation to maintain that compliance. Unfortunately, again, those monitoring or manual monitoring can't keep up with the pace of AI. So Cato really demands that real-time evidence of continuous monitoring, and Affirm delivers all of these capabilities, ensuring the systems remained authorized, compliant, and mission ready at the end of the day. So where are we today? We've secured contracts with multiple state governments that are in the final stages with securing federal customers who are going to act as our sponsors for our FedRAMP High certification, which positions Affirm to become the leading AI management system for highly regulated environments. We've developed partnerships with some industry leaders like Microsoft, CDW, and Carahsoft, and we're actively scaling with Public Consulting Group and others to manage Affirm in the federal, state, and commercial markets. And then, so, what we're looking for today, we're actively seeking partners now to launch proof of concept deployments with enterprises looking to take advantage of AI. We're also open to exploring strategic partnerships, particularly with industries or with companies interested in leveraging Affirm as a new revenue stream. So this could include enterprises already providing IT or cybersecurity services, MSP services, that want to expand their offerings with AI governance solutions. Part of the reason why we're partnered with CDW is for their MSP work. And in 2024, we closed a $5 million seed round and are coming close to closing out our $3.5 million seed B round to support FedRAMP High certification and scale our go-to-market efforts. And then finally, we're also looking for customers that would like to support our phase 2 SBIR funding. But I'll open it up to some questions, but obviously feel free to reach out to me if you want to connect offline or if you'd like to set up some time to see a demo.
Great, thank you so much, David. So opening the floor to questions. Once again, if you have a question, raise your hand virtually. It's under the Reacts button. But I do see there is a question in the chat already. Someone asks, other than government customers, what private sector companies are prime customer targets that have a specific objective to achieve, and what revenues can be derived from private sector applications?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So, we are heavily focused right now on the federal and state markets, just given that we have very, very strong connections to the current administration and, at the state level. But for commercial, anybody that's in a highly regulated industry is kind of our low-hanging fruit right now. So financial services, insurance sectors, where they have, safety and rights impacting systems are early targets that make a lot of sense. In terms from a revenue, really the total addressable market, it scales. I mean, it's massive at the end of the day. Anybody that's using AI has to comply with these laws and regulations. And if you're using AI without any oversight into the actual system itself, you're putting your organization at risk, just as Zillow did. And I lost my train of thought there, but you really need to have these controls in place to ensure that AI is not going off the rails. And just given that inherent nature, it can happen pretty easily without it being noticed, without a system in place to catch it. Hopefully that answers your question.
Great. I also see Musibal has his hand raised as well as Han. So Musibal.
Thank you very much. It's an interesting presentation. The concept needs to be a little chewing, I guess. But my fundamental question is how difficult it is to program the system, that can monitor, whatever governance you try to establish.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have over 130 different frameworks in our platform today to manage to be able to show compliance to the different standards or the different laws or regulations. And if a new one comes down, like OMB M21 and 22, which came down earlier this month, to get them into the platform only takes about 2 weeks to where someone can prove compliance or show compliance off of that. So it operates in that function similar to a GRC or governance risk and compliance tool. In terms of the monitoring itself, the way that we connect to those AI models is through a JSON structure or an API. And then what we're doing is we're sending in prompts into that system and then measuring the response that the system gives based on an expected response or a baseline response. And that's how we're able to get to those metrics through some, special sauce, if you will. But we're platform agnostic. As long as we can connect to the system through an API or a JSON structure, we're generally able to monitor it.
I would love to learn a little bit more. Maybe an offline discussion will be more appropriate. But it seems like what you have achieved so far, could be applied to even other areas also, company, management and so on. So I'm very interested to learn a little more.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank
And
you.
Han?
Actually, I had a question, but you just answered it, so it's perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much. David, if you just leave your contact information in the chat so people know where to reach you, that would be great.
Perfect. Thank you. I
And
appreciate the opportunity.
sure, thank you so much. And with that, we'll move on to our next presentation, which is Infinity Rack. We have Stephen here to present.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I'll share my screen. All right, can everyone see that okay?
Yes. Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, I'm Stephen Hankins, co-founder and COO of Infinity Rack. Infinity Rack is a manufacturer of modular aluminum and steel building integrated PV solar structures. That's one of our carports right there. Blending aesthetics, functionality, and sustainability, we aim to lead the residential and commercial markets with innovative solar canopies and carports, and be a part of the solution to the coming grid overload problems that will occur in the next 5 to 10 years with the expanding EV market. We offer complete building material kits that feature a fully watertight building integrated solar roof that's compatible with any solar module. Our wire management system allows for no exposed wires, and we're 100% American sourced and made. I'm going to run through some of our different product lines now, starting with our residential aluminum sun lounge. The sun lounge is a beautiful backyard gathering space with an ROI through tax credits and electricity production. Next, we have our aluminum carport that's perfect for light commercial applications. The one you see here is for employee parking at small businesses with EV chargers bolted right to our columns. We also make custom aluminum structures. What you see in this slide is an upcoming project for multifamily parking and storage. We also offer cantilevered carports for commercial applications. For cantilevered structures, the columns and the T-tops are steel, but the roofs are standard aluminum pieces. We also offer dual cantilevered carports for large-scale commercial with parking on both sides. Additionally, we have super span structures that are a perfect fit for fleet charging or solar parking garages. And we're also currently in the process of developing fully enclosed structures with our BIPV solar roof. We're going to start with detached garages, then move on to warehouses and home additions, and then finally the Infinity Tiny Home. Competitive advantages. This is a photo of one of our competitors. And as you can see, there's a good amount of space between the modules on the left side there, where water will just pour down. Also, as you can see on the right side, the right picture, exposed wiring everywhere, which leads to system degradation over time. Our target markets are high-end residential with our aluminum structures. As you can see in that left picture, one of our projects in Tampa Bay, Florida. Light commercial with aluminum. That middle picture, that's in Nevada, and that's 2 of the structures, but it wraps around. It's actually 4 of our aluminum carports. And then also commercial with steel and aluminum. That right side, that's a canopy. We actually installed a ridge cap in the center to make one watertight pavilion, but the steel columns and the T-tops are visible there. But that's our typical aluminum roof on top. That was just our first cantilevered install. That's why that one's in here. But that steel is how we make our cantilevered and dual cantilevered carports, which are very necessary for carport commercial applications. No building owner, no developer wants any sort of liability with being able to hit the back posts. So that's why we have our steel cantilever for large scale applications. Traction. We have a full patent for our roofing system, and we're patent pending on our support framing for both the aluminum and steel cantilevered structures. So 3 patents there. We also recently got our UL 2703 for bonding and mechanical loading. We have 40 installs and 65 projects sold in 18 states and Puerto Rico. I actually just sold a project today in Turks and Caicos, so I can add that on the list. Team. We've got 3 co-founders. Maria is our finance and marketing guru and our CEO. Chris is our resident genius product developer and our chief product officer. And I'm day-to-day ops. We have 15 employees that range from W-2 to 1099. So roadmaps and asks. Our current roadmap is to better refine our target market, develop further our distributor partnerships, and our new product development of our fully enclosed structures. Our ask is for product and market feedback and intros for potential corporate partnerships and large-scale commercial customers. With that, I thank you for your time and open to questions.
Great. So Han, you raise your hand.
Yeah, good presentation and really impressive product. I'm really interested in, we probably need to talk more offline, but for now, can you tell us a little bit more about your price scheme? Are you leasing it, selling it, or so your competition in the market? The reason that I'm asking is that I mentioned earlier, but I'm working on a large scale billion-dollar size, more than billion-dollar size of a construction like city development project. We're creating a construction ecosystem, and I think that your product can work fitting pretty well. So thank you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So we are a manufacturer. We are not a contractor, not an installer. We always do send product teams for commercial projects. We always offer install training to our contractors. But I just said that to lay the landscape to answer your question. I'd say about 80% of our customers are contractors, general contractors. We have some engineers and architects. And then we just started really distribution model because our product is very modular. So it's really perfect for stocking. Sometimes end users buy from us. So that's how we sell currently. Pricing wise, on our aluminum structures, we run somewhere between, I would say, 85 and 110 per square foot. The steel structures, which a project like yours would typically run a little bit more than that, but it very much depends on the location and the type of structure, because that'll determine the thickness of the steel. So did that answer it a little bit, or is there anything else?
Yeah, you did. And what was your ask again for investment side of it?
So yeah, I mean, currently we're open to it. We were started in 2020. Last year was our first year of selling. So this is our second year here. We've currently only done a family and friends round. we were looking for grants, and that's how we got into the showcase. We may be looking for an actual venture round, seed round here. I'm not currently in that process, so I don't have any of that information. We could talk offline about that. But the general asks are just strategic partnerships, and I would love to talk to you about that project. That's amazing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. And we have another question from Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. It was good to see the deck. So I'm curious, given that you're in solar, is there a major impact behind the IRA and the IIJA tax credits for, I think it's 2032? Is there kind of like a line, if you guys are burning cash, is this going to be helping you in the next 5 to 7 years? Is this going to be hurting you past that point? What's the vision there?
Sure. Yeah. So with the IRA, it's really the federal ITC. So to get your ROI on solar structures, any sort of solar project, of course, you've got your electricity production, but then it's that tax credit, right? Currently, it's excellent, and it's through 2035. Is there concerns about that being taken away? It's possible with the Trump administration. However, it is in the hands of the Senate Republicans at this point. So we don't think, because solar is growing so quickly and such a large industry and so many jobs, we don't think that they will vote it out. But it is a huge part of your ROI. Now, if for some reason that was taken out, then it would just, the ROI would be based on electric production and any state incentives. So yes, it would hurt. I think there would be more of a focus to commercial, but honestly, that's where we want to go anyhow. So we launched in residential, and we love those projects. That's how we had to start, as we developed our products, but commercial's where the real meat is.
Great. Well, that's all the time we have, but thank you so much, Stephen. And if you just put your contact information in the chat so people know where to reach you, that would be fantastic. But thank you very much. Great presentation. And with that, we're going to be moving into our second session. As you might be able to tell, we're running a little bit behind. And I'd like to thank all of the first session panelists who had the patience to stick around a little bit longer, and you're definitely free to stay for the remainder of the event. We do have 3 more companies in the second session, so if you'd like, we're not going to kick you out. We'd also like to welcome all the second session panelists. Normally, what we do is a bit of an introduction, go around, have the panelists introduce themselves. Because we're running a little bit low on time, the way we'll do this is the companies will just present, and then when you ask a question, if the panelist has a question, you just introduce yourself very quickly right before you ask your question. So with that, we'll just move on to our next presenting company, which is WaveWorks. We have Aaron here to present. So whenever you're ready.
Thanks so much, Brian. Everybody seeing the slides here?
Yeah.
All right. Hi, all. I'm Aaron Park, CEO at WaveWorks. So WaveWorks is a semiconductor company. We make hardware building blocks that let you move more data for less power in wireless connected devices. So the energy it takes a radio to move data wirelessly has decreased over the years, but the industry is approaching a fundamental physical limit. So this limit means devices can either move lots of data or they can achieve a long battery life, but they can't do both. WaveWorks turns the tables on this. We drop out this energy floor on normal radios. Our first chip reduces the amount of power needed to send data wirelessly by 99%, while still being able to talk over 50 meters range and using standard protocols. So how does it do this? If conventional radio is a flashlight taking energy from a battery and emitting it, then WaveWorks tech works more like a signal mirror. We're reflecting energy to communicate. It's smaller, cheaper, dramatically lower power. To showcase WaveWorks technology, we're actually developing an end-to-end system around it. This is an AI-powered mechanics ear for machine monitoring and predictive maintenance. It captures continuous high bandwidth data from low power sensors. What it transmits is actually full fidelity audio and it moves that to a gateway, which then relays that, of course, to some compute. The bottom line is that the richer data set that we can uniquely capture with that ultra low power sensor node improves model training and inference outcomes. And we're actually excited to be piloting the system currently with Steelscape. They're a major steel processor. We also have a large paper mill next in line for pilot testing. So where do we go from there? So first, as I've mentioned, wireless industrial sensors. So in trying to achieve a multi-year battery life, these sensors today are just ending up moving minuscule amounts of data because sending data is so power hungry. We kind of, again, turn the tables on that equation and let them open up that last bottleneck between sensor and gateway. Wireless battery monitoring is actually another killer app at the intersection of low power and low cost, which is an area that we can really uniquely serve. We have a funded R&D effort, private sector funding for an R&D effort that's exploring this right now. And peripheral devices and wearables need to move low latency and sometimes really deep data sets, but they face pretty extreme constraints on battery capacity and form factor today. So in each case, WaveWorks' ability to move more data for less power can widen that data pipe while reducing the battery burden. So at our core, we're a semiconductor company looking to sell sort of the picks and shovels for a broad variety of next-gen connected wireless devices. But there's a lot of inertia in wireless semiconductor. This is because of entrenched standards but also baked-in mindsets. So we're defining kind of a phased approach to go to market. In the first phase, we're showing the market what this is and what it's good for by crafting compelling solutions built around and atop the tech. Following that, we'll be refining and selling the building blocks of low power wireless into high value niche applications. And then the final phase is really a broad market unlock. We need to solidify partnerships with kind of the ecosystem gatekeepers, the folks who enable mass market adoption of wireless technologies. So right now we're raising a round to accelerate the first two phases of this story, completing multiple pilot scale deployments of a compelling end-to-end system built around our technology, and then developing a system on chip form of our connectivity solution that's more suitable for broad use cases. Our team are foundational and backscatter communication systems. This is, the fundamental technology that enables the power savings in low power sensor systems and in wireless power. And we also have two deeply experienced semiconductor industry executives on the advisory team. We're a member of Silicon Catalyst. This is an incubator for semiconductor startups, and this also brings about $2 million of in-kind benefits over the next 18 months or so, as well as deep industry mentorship and fundraising guidance. So we really feel good about our odds of success with them on board. So I'm interested in connecting with potential partners who may have kind of extremely compelling use cases for the technology, and also investors with context in the space. So thanks for the opportunity. I guess I'll take questions now.
Great. Thank you so much, Aaron. So people joined recently. Way this works is you raise your hand virtually, as Matt and Andrew have done. And just a reminder to Matt and Andrew and anybody else who might ask a question, if you just please introduce yourself very briefly before you ask your question, that would be appreciated. So Matt.
Awesome, Aaron. Thank you for the pitch. I'm Matt Morris with Hitachi Ventures. We are the corporate venture arm of Hitachi, investing pretty broadly across climate, industrials, manufacturing, AI, semiconductors, and healthcare, Series A, Series B. I predominantly work on all of our manufacturing technologies. So understanding a little bit more about some of the secret sauce behind this, because it is a semis play, I am assuming that there is going to be some level of software embeddedness on top of it. Can you talk a little bit more about maybe the encoding, decoding that you're doing on the actual data transfer to packetize that, but also to preserve that battery life in tandem?
Yeah, absolutely. So the key kind of secret sauce that unlocks the battery life piece, the power savings, is really in the way that we, at the physical layer, even lower than the software, kind of the way that we move data, which again is through reflections. So, whereas a conventional radio is taking, that let's say that Bluetooth formatted packet, and it's crafting from whole cloth an RF signal, it's amplifying it, it's modulating it, and it's pushing that energy out into the environment. We don't have to do any of those things, right? So we can take the kind of the Bluetooth baseband, the very same data carrying or information carrying, packet signal that you would use in a conventional radio, but we can apply that to, a reflector essentially, and use an antenna instead of as an emitter, as instead a reflector. And it turns out that that is really where the power saving stems from. So we don't have to dive into significant innovations at the kind of protocol level or let's say at the software stack layers above that in order to get that kind of fundamental physical layer unlock, if that's clear.
Understood. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And up next, we have a question from Andrew.
Hi, I'm an investor with 1435 Capital. We're mainly investors in seed to Series C. We also have a secondaries aspect, which I'm obviously not going to go into, but we're kind of a generalist as well. So this is always interesting to us. So question is, since you rely on the backscatter technology, and obviously that relies on existing radio frequencies, to what extent does your business model rely on third-party infrastructure and kind of the continuation and development of the existing infrastructure standards?
Yeah, so I think you've identified one of the challenging aspects of go-to-market for a wireless semiconductor company, bringing, again, a paradigm shifting tech. I think this is really the reason we're taking this, what may seem at first blush to be kind of a laborious approach to bring this to market, is really that it does require some infrastructure changes in order to enable the and unlock the benefit, right? So when we start with beachheads in very compelling applications, it allows us the freedom and flexibility to deploy our own, standalone WaveWorks branded gateways in those spaces to enable and unlock the technology. But the really interesting thing about our tech is that I believe once we have this, big standing commercial proof point out there for, yes, this does what it's advertised to do. Yes, it can work at scale. That will open the door to, again, kind of the ecosystem gatekeeper types, the Broadcoms, the Qualcomms, some of the big telecoms that control, which protocols are deployed on equipment that they, that they are installing, around the world. And I think those are really that will be for us the moment where, we can suddenly start to operate in, environments that do not require our own gateway deployment. Is that kind of making sense?
Yep.
Or is that a good question?
Okay, great. And Andres?
Hey, Aaron, nice to meet you. I'm Andres. I work with Allen Ventures, the corporate venture capital arm for Lockheed Martin. A little bit of background: we invest in like Series C through Series B, so early stage startups. One quick question or a couple questions, if I may, on the technical side. Once you reflect the RF frequency, what kind of ranges are you aiming for? And to piggyback off of that, on your previous slide, you were mentioning that your phase 2 is to partner up with different users. You thought about any use cases that would be beneficial for aerospace and defense? Sorry for the turn one.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tackle the first one. So you're asking about, if I got it correctly, you're asking about communication range. Initially. Yeah. So our range is highly dependent on the protocol that we elect to use in order to, do the communications. The interesting thing about us is that we are able to synthesize standard protocols, so we can interoperate with, conventional Bluetooth, but also Wi-Fi, Zigbee, LoRa, right? And I highlight LoRa there because LoRa gives us a path to kind of longer range operation. With in an FCC compatible kind of consumer grade application, where we are required to stay within a transmit power envelope on our gateway side, and all of those constraints are met, we can get a reliable operating range around a gateway of about 50 meters using a LoRa system. So this is not, multi-kilometer in that constrained environment. But when you do consider maybe, defense-related applications where some of these power constraints do not have to be met or can be kind of stretched in certain ways, range can significantly expand to multiple kilometers. And then you asked about, I think your follow or your additional question was kind of aerospace applications. So we have explored this a little bit. So I think there really is a couple of areas that I would highlight. So one, we're actively exploring battery systems. So imagine eVTOL aircraft where batteries are asked to and tasked with doing, things that really no other space has tasked these batteries with doing. They're pushed to the limits, and then some. Our system, with the kind of power profile that it offers and also the size and cost aspects that we can unlock, it really paves a path to a cell level monitoring solution that I think is really compelling in eVTOL applications. And in fact, the funding partner that is funding us to explore this is in the eVTOL space. So I think that would be an area that I would highlight right off the bat. I think there's other interesting kind of intra-vehicle links that, in satellites and otherwise, that could be interesting to consider replacing with a wireless link if the power profile is really brought under, some kind of meaningful threshold that I think we can hit. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. That was a fantastic presentation. And if you would, that's all the time we have. But if you would put your contact information in the chat so people know where to reach you, that would be great. So thanks. And with that, we'll move on to our next presentation, which is Gamma Security.
Hey guys, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, I've started sharing screen. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon. Thank you everybody for your time once again. I'm Bar Levy, co-founder and CMO of Gamma Security. I'm joined here by my colleagues, Ross Clark and Thomas Scola. All right. Embedded Internet of Things devices deployed in critical environments must be trusted and secure. We developed a comprehensive security solution that verifies the integrity of embedded IoT devices at the firmware level continuously. To expand on that, critical infrastructure is more interconnected than ever, which is great for efficiency, but also exposes major security risks. IoT devices embedded within these systems often lack strong security, making them attractive targets for adversaries. And when a critical device is breached, the consequences can be catastrophic. A single compromised sensor or controller can shut down power grids, disable fire suppression systems, or even lock human operators out of access controls. The more connected these devices are, the greater the scale of disruption a single attack can cause. Now, while the IoT market is expanding rapidly, security hasn't kept up. Most embedded devices still rely on outdated verification methods, leaving them vulnerable to modern attacks. Some of the key weak points that make embedded devices particularly vulnerable are the fact that most devices only check firmware at boot, which still exposes them to runtime attacks. Current solutions also focus on passively monitoring by checking if the software is still running, which still does not prevent against tampering. These solutions are also only limited to high-powered chips. To solve for this gap, we've created a unique phased and gated collective attestation protocol targeted at low-powered chips that can otherwise create gateways to major security vulnerabilities and are nevertheless overlooked by the cybersecurity market. Our protocol uses advanced cryptographic mathematics to ensure attestation can be performed on resource-constrained hardware at the edge, with remote verification in real time. And so, our collective attestation protocol is finally a way to verify the integrity of these embedded devices at the firmware level continuously. It's so lightweight, it can run on low-power chips such as ARM Cortex-M, commonly found on temperature sensors, microphone sensors, and other edge devices. And because it works in real time, it could detect tampering or anomalies instantly before failure spread. And it's scalable across networks and IoT ecosystems, able to monitor entire arrays of devices, even with complex hardware configurations. Our total addressable market for IoT devices is worth over $2.39 billion and consists of over 17 billion IoT devices deployed globally. Our serviceable addressable market consists of the key segments within the IoT devices industry, which includes the industrial, healthcare, defense markets, and is worth over $1.91 billion. Over 1 billion of these devices come with the exploitable over-the-air update functionality. Excuse me. SOM for our serviceable obtainable market is based on the realistic adoption rates of the true cryptographic solutions like ours and is worth over $117 million and consists of over 100 million devices used in security critical roles globally. Some key applications where we can find these critical embedded IoT devices include defense systems, where we can find them on missile guidance systems, radar systems, critical facilities where we have them on programmable logic controllers, critical sensors, for example, the aerospace industry where we have them on telemetry systems and ground control. And so we didn't just identify the problem, we proved a solution can exist. In April 2024, we successfully demonstrated real-time integrity checks on low-power devices by implementing SWARM on an array of microphone sensors. Instead of focusing on high-powered systems, we invested time in proving the practicality of runtime attestation on critical low-end devices, where security has been largely overlooked. This proves continuous security is possible on critical resource-constrained embedded devices. This is SWARM, our flagship attestation protocol mentioned earlier. In this setup, IoT devices act as provers. They generate and send cryptographic fingerprints about their firmware state to external verifiers, which can be any commercial off-the-shelf hardware. SWARM is designed to scale massively, supporting thousands of devices in a network. And the most important part, SWARM runs in the root of trust of the microcontroller. Even if client software is compromised, the attestation layer stays protected. That's what makes this protocol so resilient. Our core differentiator is our lightweight cryptographic attestation protocol. It's incredibly efficient and can run on any microcontroller without modification of client software. Unlike other solutions that rely on firmware uploads or boot time checks, we're doing real-time continuous verification, like a watchdog that can proactively prevent any security issues before they even happen. Our protocol is so lightweight, it can run on these ultra-low power devices that we discussed earlier, temperature sensors, microphone sensors, chips like ARM Cortex-M0s, TI MSP430s. And it's because it's scalable across ecosystems, we're not limited to one firmware or one type of device. That flexibility means faster deployment and broader coverage across critical infrastructure. In 2024, we developed a groundbreaking proof of concept where we implemented the scheme practically on an array of embedded microphones. In 2025, we are seeking our first partner to implement our protocol on their existing hardware. In 2026, we plan on working with this partner to release a beta where we use valuable user feedback to improve the protocol. Once we are established, we aim to release our own custom hardware tailored to the unique security situations where customer needs are still going unmet. Meet the team that's going to drive deliverables here at Comma Security. We're a group of cybersecurity experts passionate about securing the physical world. Our target customers are sensor manufacturers and manufacturers of sensor-based solutions. Thank you very much. Some question time now.
Great. Thank you so much, Bar. So once again, opening the floor to questions. And if you have a question, just raise your hand virtually via the Reacts button. Just give it a second. Lisa?
Hi, so I'm not going to pretend to be a sensor expert. I am a corporate venture investor for GC. PTC is a petrochem refinery. So I'm trying to think about this in terms of applications in a refinery environment. And thinking about my corporate, I'm wondering how hard is it to convince particular industries that they should protect against a threat that perhaps they haven't seen yet? Just from a market adoption perspective. I know that you say you're going to sell to the manufacturers of the industrial sensors themselves, but is it difficult to get, particular market segments to recognize that there are these kinds of threats and to adopt this before they have an event?
For sure, yeah, I can take that one. So what we've seen so far through customer discovery is that it definitely is tough to convince them that this is a problem in the first place, especially before an event happens. And so one really big push that we've been going on is the education side of showing where these problems exist, showing case studies where other customers might have been compromised before and how our solution could come in and help.
And it just as a quick follow-up, do you anticipate then that the sensor manufacturers themselves will be the ones doing the marketing, that at some point they will see that they can sell more sensors because there's this added feature now of protection for their customers?
Absolutely, yeah. That's our goal for targeting them rather than the end customers. We found that they were definitely more receptive to the problems, especially because they were the ones that were in the headlines whenever something happened in the past.
Great. We do have time for another question if anybody has one. Lena?
Yeah, sorry, can you just cover current state of the product? Is it currently being used? Are you in R&D? And then I guess my context is I'm in venture capital with a firm called Outsiders Fund. And we focus predominantly in relatively deep tech spaces like this.
Awesome. Yeah, so as Bar mentioned, last year we developed a proof of concept where we deployed this on an array of microphone sensors. And we've been kind of using that as our first pilot. However, that does not scale very well with just us bootstrapping this. And so we're primarily right now looking for our first partner to implement on their existing systems so that we can have a true pilot program at scale. As this was originally developed as an academic project and then spun off, we've realized that in order to properly scale, we need a full-fledged industry partner.
Great. Juan?
Hi, this is Yuan from Hypertherm Ventures. We are a corporate VC under Hypertherm, which is a global leader in industrial cutting. So we focus on investing in advanced manufacturing applications. So I have a question since you mentioned your lightweight encryption, right? So just quick question. So is it a proprietary cipher or are you using open source?
For sure, yeah. So we have a provisional patent, and then we have 3 follow-up patents, primarily for the communication protocol and then the actual application. It's built on open source cryptography, but then mixed together in a way such that the cryptographic scheme is proprietary.
So how does the latency compare to other solutions?
It's the smallest tested. So when we developed the scheme with myself and my research partner in our master's program, we were testing some other lightweight cryptographic protocols for collective remote attestation. And that's where we realized that we actually had something beneficial here because we had the same actual latency, but we were able to attest more devices at the same time at a larger scale. And then also the memory footprint was about 1/10 of the next lightest weight one that we tested.
Great. Yondo?
Yeah, this is Yondo from Honda Accelerator Ventures. We are a CVC arm for Honda Motor. Our focus areas in manufacturing, robotics, mobility, and sustainability. First of all, thank you for the presentation. My question is would this technology be applied in the EVs or mobility sectors? And if so, would you be selling directly to OEMs or would it be more of a tier 1, 2 play? So 2 questions.
Yeah, for sure. So this definitely has applications anywhere that you have a device at the edge between the analog and digital worlds. So we primarily see, all of these places where you have analog microphones, video sensors, things like that. But then also, there's hundreds, maybe thousands of sensors in cars. And so it would definitely be a play to market directly to auto manufacturers. Really, we'd need someone that would be able to partner with us to actually integrate our cryptographic scheme in with their firmware. And so if Honda develops their own firmware, we'd love to work with y'all.
Great, thank you.
Great. Well, that's actually all the time we have. But thank you so much, security team. And if y'all would put your contact information in the chat so people know where to reach you, that'd be great. So perfect. So now we're going to move on to our final presentation of the day. We have NUMEM here to present, and I believe we have Max Simmons here to present for them.
Hey, Brian. Hey, everybody. Good morning.
Hey. Good morning.
Do you want me to share the material? Are you sharing the material or what are we?
Yes. If you would just share your screen.
Okay, sorry, I thought. Sure, no problem.
We used to share on the company's behalf, but there was a lot of lag sometimes of when they would ask us to move the slide for them, and just more seamless.
Yeah, no problem, Brian. Sorry, I sent you the material, so I thought you guys were sharing, but no problem. Hey, everybody. Good morning. My name is Max Simmons, and I'm the CEO of NewMem. And we're a next generation MRAM company building a AI memory engine that powers our technology. And we'll just take a couple minutes to tell you about what we do. So what is NewMem building? We're building a patented AI memory engine that goes inside of next generation MRAM that's built at foundries, that is patented and delivers leading performance that closes the gap in the memory performance wall. And so we have a couple features here that I just wanted to highlight briefly before I share a little bit about the technology. It is a fabless model that we're using. So we're using foundry-based MRAM technology and enhancing the performance to build embedded and discrete memory chips. We have proven SRAM-like performance with NVM features, so it's non-volatile. That means we're like 3 to 4 nanosecond read-write latency type performance. And if you look at the memory hierarchy at the right-hand side, we're competing in that SRAM, DRAM type space for a product. We're going to scale our technology up to 1 gigabyte building blocks. And long-term, we want to build next generation HBM stacked solutions. We are super low power. The great thing about MRAM is that it's non-volatile, so you can have the power turned off and continue to get keep the data on the device. We've built multiple test chips at TSMC. We're looking to do some US-based foundry development also, which I'll tell you about in a second. And then we're working with a number of tier 1 customers who have interest in us. And we believe we can prove out our technology, the capability of our technology in a $57 billion serviceable available market, the AI memory market, we like to call it, in 6 quarters. So we relatively quickly prove out the technology due to the using a foundry-based model. So let's talk about the size of the market for a second and a little bit of interest in the architecture here. DRAM is a $130 billion market today. It's going to grow to $300 billion in the next 10 years approximately, but it only has a 9% growth rate or CAGR. NAND is a $75 billion market and is growing at 5% to $120 billion, whereas MRAM is about a $5 billion market. It's been around a while, but has never really taken off. And we think with AI and the advent of it becoming a major play in the big foundries, it's the right time to deliver a high performance memory technology. And so it's going to grow to $90 billion forecasted over the next 9 years at a 38% CAGR. And part of the reason for that is there's a couple new architectures that are coming. And so if you look at the right-hand side, it shows the 2025 architectures of chips. If you're on chip, it's all SRAM. AI ASICs have huge chunks of SRAM in them. And then if you're off chip, it's either DRAM and flash for the architecture. The trend towards 2034 is that, and it's happening now, is that you can replace the in-chip SRAM with MRAM, and you can get up to 2.5 times the density in that same space as the SRAM. Or you can take it off chip, and because of the high performance MRAM that we're going to provide, you can really replace DRAM and flash in the devices, simplify your design, have a better architecture, and some will be a mix over time. Now, our model is to use this fabless model and go to the major foundries. And the key thing here is that MRAM's been around a while, but it's recently become more common in the large fab environments and ecosystems. So TSMC, for example, has enabled a foundry bit cell. We take that bit cell, we add our AI memory engine and our design architecture to it. So we add this little engine inside the architecture, which is about a 2% overhead. It adds a RISC-V processor, a power management block, a self-test capability, an endurance engine, and a cache accelerator architecture. And that creates our scalable NewMem architecture. And then we can go compete as an embedded solution in the SRAM market and replacing SRAM on chips and or replacing DRAM and flash in different architectures. The nice thing about our flexibility is that we can move to different foundries or fabs environments, and that the big fabs have done the development on the bit cell. Traditionally, MRAM in the memory hierarchy plays in the NAND replacement space. We're moving it up to the SRAM and DRAM replacement space with our high performance technology. Again, a little bit about our architecture. We built this AI memory engine. It has the features there on the left-hand side that I just highlighted for you. Our engineering team has created these proprietary algorithms and workloads which optimize the performance when it's running AI workloads. And then we optimize the array design for performance. And the combination of all those factors allows us to deliver the SRAM and DRAM type performance. And so the key ingredients are, the engine, the algorithms, and the array design. And we have patents on the architecture itself. Now, from a customer standpoint, I have been in the memory industry for about 25 years. I worked at Intel for a long time and have been in the NAND, NOR, Optane, or 3D XPoint memory business. And it's been, especially when ramping new technologies like 3D XPoint, it takes a long time and it's been really challenging. I think that really changed a lot with the AI architectures coming out and people being much more interested in new architectures and looking to gain the maximum amount of performance. And so, we're engaged with a number of startups. They want to go like this one on the edge. The first one here wants to put up to 100 megabytes of embedded MRAM in the ASIC. They want to start off with testing out their existing ASICs where they're going to take 10 megabytes, turn it into 24 megabytes of MRAM in their space, get SRAM-like performance. So that's one. We're also talking to tier 1 GPU people about it. They like much higher density in terms of chiplets, stacking it on top of their ASICs to get higher performance. They think the key factors are the performance, 10 to the 15th endurance, and then, again, having the ability to scale the density. We're also talking to hyperscalers. They're interested in us not only for the performance of an HBM type solution long-term, it's clearly a little further out, but they're also interested in the power advantages because it's not DRAM and volatile and taking active power all the time. You can turn off the power, and we have the power management system in our device. It allows us to modulate the power based on your workload and save huge amounts of power over the existing architectures. Briefly, I'll just share on the automotive one. It's also interesting for some major automotive players because they're coming out with these new AI architectures to meet the requirements of all the cameras and your personal assistant that is going to be in your car in the future. And the DRAM is really not fast enough at boot up. With the current architectures and the new requirements, it would take 5 minutes for boot up. With MRAM, you can really get that instant on capability. And then you can also get the low power, which is excellent for long-term automotive applications. Finally, we're also working on a domestic approach. We've decided that there's some opportunities and a lot of interest in MRAM in the US, and there's limited applications or development of it here. So we're working with WD to try to explore using some of their magnetic head capacity to build MRAM in the US and engaging some US-based foundries to do that. And we're trying to create a development ecosystem that we're going to engage customers through the microelectronics commons and find customers to grow that engagement and build US-based MRAM. I think it'll be the first real STT MRAM built in the US. And then finally, we're working on our Series B. We have raised about $10 million to date, and we're doing a convertible note for a 20% discount on the Series B, and then we're going to raise another $25 million in the second half of the year. And we really think it gives us the opportunity to prove out a $57 billion SAM, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, and really go and show that this architecture, this technology can work in multiple applications from the edge to the data center to IoT type devices. and be the next generation non-volatile memory technology. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max. That was a great presentation. And opening the floor to questions. Once again, just raise your hand virtually. And this is the last presentation, so great opportunity to ask questions. Andrew?
Figured I'd ask one more. I can reintroduce myself. So investor at 1435 Capital, and we're investors in seed to Series C. Generalist view as well. So the question is, kind of given the long design cycle and whatnot for the IP and integration, can you kind of talk through a specific customer engagement where the new RAM or the what's called Smart RAM has been selected over kind of legacy systems and the advantage there?
Yeah, sure. So we have a customer right now who has a AI Edge ASIC, and it has 10 megabytes of MRAM in it. 10 megabytes of SRAM in it, that we're currently designing a solution for 24 megabytes of MRAM in that same XY space. So they get to, more than double the capacity and get SRAM-like performance, and about a 40% drop in power consumption. And so, and that cycle is happening now, and it's we're working on a 12 nanometer process at TSMC to do that one. And it's something that's going to happen in the first half of next year. So it's a relatively short cycle to begin seeing product.
Gotcha. And your sales cycle is, I'm assuming, less than a year?
I mean, for embedded applications, Andrew, it is. But, for the automotive cycle that I was talking about, we're talking this large infotainment cycle. I mean, I think you probably know automotive is like a years long type of approach. So it's key for us to go win some embedded sockets right away because they're faster turn and it's easier to get designed in, especially if you're replacing SRAM. The longer term ones are obviously much more lucrative in terms of revenue and margin and things like that, but the cycles are much longer and harder to get into those big customers.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yvonne?
Yeah, I had a similar question, and Simon and I, we met already before. So Max and I, we met already before. So I'm with Lam Ventures or Lam Capital, the venture group of Lam Research. Similar question to Andrew, Max, because this is like an Industry 4.0 forum, and we are thinking industrial applications, edge applications. But the other very, very promising market is data center, right? How much faster would you think, or from your experience, are edge applications or edge AI chips even in comparison to data center applications in terms of customer, getting customer?
Hey, Yvonne, it's great to see you again. And thanks for the question. I think edge is much faster. I think if you look out at the AI landscape right now, there's a lot of startups in the edge. I think they're much more willing to try different things, and they're trying to look for an edge in their ASIC designs or their architectures. So they're much more willing to do this. When you're talking to the big cloud guys or the big GPU guys, they're going to take a long time. We start off with their technology engagement groups. We have to get confidence with those guys, and then they put you into a project. And so, I mean, honestly speaking, we're still working with the technology development groups at most places, and much further along with the edge players in terms of their willingness to go fast to building products.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. We do have time for another question if anybody has any.
Hi, Brian. This is Diana. I'm driving. My apologies. Can I jump in with a quick question from the oil and gas world?
Sure, Diana. Just please, before your question, if you just introduce yourself.
Happy to. Hi, I'm Diana Grauer. I'm Oilfield Services CVC. I have an incubator that I operate called Supernova with a partner called Venture Builder. We do our own investments, early stage, but pointed at oil and gas and energy hardware. So my question, Max, is moving forward, please look at your, into your crystal ball past the EV market. There are a lot of rumblings going on around humanoid robotics, personal assistance, things like that. We have obviously some challenges with manpower in manufacturing, manpower in the field, remote locations, same kind of challenges as FOBs. Can you give me a little bit of direction on how to apply this particular technology if, say, I was trying to automate a drilling rig with a humanoid robot as the edge device?
Great question, Diana. It's interesting. I was at the TSMC open forum yesterday, which is like their event where they share all the long-term technologies. And, it was interesting. They were talking about automotive and humanoid robotics being kind of connected in terms of their architectures, people looking at similar technologies to go into them. And MRAM is really, a technology that is really considered a good place for MRAM. It has, great endurance. It has 10 to the 15th endurance, which means it lasts forever. It's excellent in harsh environments. So, it can withstand space, and that type of application would be great in oil field for robotics, low power, which would extend your battery life. And then, the key thing about our technology is that it's high enough performance so that you can execute your, compute requirements or execute the applications that your robot's going to do in that oil field. And so I think it would be, and we've thought about it for robotics, but I think it's a great architecture for robotics because of the performance and then the inherent sort of endurance capabilities of the technology, and then the ability to scale it to higher densities to do all the things that you'd want to do in your oil field environment where you're collecting edge AI type data and beaming it back to your data center at headquarters to make sure that you understand production levels and all that kind of those types of applications. So I would think it'd be a good fit.
Can you, sorry, Max, can you comment real quick on any sort of, I don't know, backwards compatibility requirement? As you know, the oil field is, we're updating things that are 30 years old. So,
Yeah.
How do I take advantage of what I already have and then use your technology to move that forward so that I can compute faster?
Yeah, Diana, that's a good question too. So key thing about, our architectures is that we're using standard industry interfaces. So, like we're going to put LPDDR interfaces on our 1 GB chip. And so, or the embedded applications, we're going to put standard SRAM interfaces in them so that they work with existing architectures. Yes, you're going to have to do some, probably some firmware updates and some software updates to make it all work to the new performance levels. So there will be some work, but the difference between like when Intel did 3D XPoint for the data center, they required a whole new CPU interface, which meant that Intel had to go do that ecosystem development. We can't do that, obviously. So we're using standard industry interfaces so that the architectural conversion from ability to upgrade existing systems is there and much more viable than some of the previous technologies have been.
Thank you, Max. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Good questions.
All right. Well, Max, if you would just put your contact information in the chat so people know where to reach you, that would be fantastic. But a great presentation, and that's all the time we have. So thank you very much. And that actually marks the end of today's event. So I'd like to give a huge thank you to all the companies who presented. They're fantastic presentations. And I'd like to thank the panelists who joined and are and who stayed for the entire event, especially, but even the ones who just joined for 1 or 2 sessions. So I very much appreciate you taking the time, hearing these companies out, and interacting with these companies. With being a very active panel. So that was really great. Very much appreciate that. You helped make it a really good event. I will be sending out a follow-up likely by early next week. So keep an eye out for that. And for any of the panelists, if you want to connect with any of the companies that you saw today, you can just reach out to me and I can make the connection. So until next time, our next event is next month, microelectronics and semiconductors. So hopefully we'll see some of you there. And if not, at some of our other events. So huge thank you to everybody involved in making this event a success, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Take care.